A stroke is a medical emergency. It happens quickly and every second counts. That is why it is important for all of us to be fast, be balanced. Has the person suddenly lost balance? E, eyes. Has the person lost vision in one or both eyes? F, face. Is the face drooping? A, arms. Is the arms weak or numb? Is one arm weak or numb? S, speech. Is the speech slurred or strange? And T, time. What time did it happen? Record it and act fast. Good evening and welcome to this live. My name is Monel Alexis and I'm representing the Ray Astor Foundation. It is our mission to educate the public on all things stroke so all of us can take action to protect our lives and that of our friends and family members. Today is a wonderful day. It is a wonderful day because I'm here with someone who survived a stroke. And that is someone that all of us know, at least most of us would learn to know in Dominica. We hear her all the time on a Saturday morning, in particular on the radio station. We see her running her campaigns. She suffered a stroke and today she's going to tell her story. Good evening to you, Rosemary Thomas, and how are you doing?
Well, good evening to you, Monel. I must say that I am doing fine and I'm doing wonderful by the grace of God.
Amen. Okay, so let's talk, Rosemary. Who is Rosemary Thomas?
Well, Rosemary Thomas is a well-known person in Dominica. I have worked in, I would say, most of the supermarkets on island. So I'm well known. Presently, I am employed with Springfield Trading Company Limited on Goodwill Road.
Okay.
Well, Rosemary Thomas is a mother of one son. And it's not only one son, but it's a miracle son. So God has been good to me.
And to this day, he's still good to you.
And he continues to be good to me.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's go back to, you suffered a stroke back in 2020.
Yes.
We're going to go back. We're going to detail her entire story. So you'll learn what happened to her. She'll give you advice. So if you're listening out there, you're going through the similar situation, you get strength to push forward. And we talk a little bit about the signs and the symptoms. So all of us, can take action. So Rosemary, going back to 2020, that is the start of the pandemic. And that was the year you got a stroke. So that's in March of 2020. Let's go back to that day, that morning. What was that morning like for you?
Well, that morning for me was very hectic in that was the time that everybody was shopping. And I believe it's not only shopping, but everybody, like, they were really scared because of the pandemic. You were hearing of a pandemic, it's a new thing. And all you were hearing about that pandemic is death. So as an individual, personally, I was scared. And I will tell everybody, Dominica, no matter that you hear Rosemary on the radio and Rosemary's, I was scared to death. And then I can tell you, I was shopping. All I thought at that time, stock up. And then, I trying to assist everybody because I want everybody to shop in S-Marts. Because that's my workplace, and and I want everybody to have enough food to make preparation. Because you are hearing of airports closing, you are hearing, that you can't travel, and then you are hearing about a virus, and it's not only just a virus, but a virus that's actually killing people. So I mean, when you're hearing of death, obviously you are scared. Nobody wants to die. So I was one of the person, doing all this shopping and moving around, and everybody, was going around and ensuring that we are well prepared at S-Mart to ensure that our customers get 100% customer service and they get what they come for. So we wanted everybody to stock up at that point. So it was kind of hectic on that day.
Okay, so before you actually began experiencing the signs and the symptoms of the stroke, were you feeling sick apart from being stressed? You recall getting any headache, your speech being slurred? Do you recall anything weird happening to you?
Well, I did at a certain point I was really tired. really, really, really tired. And then I did everything okay though, I must say. I was just like tired and scared. But at the end of the evening, when I finished work, it was about 10:30 that night. And then, you know, I close up and everything. And that's it at the point when I felt like, wow, that's not rosemary. My head is blocked, like it's filled. And so I'm saying to my co-worker, you know, my head is hurting me. I'm really feeling like my head is blocked. But at that point, I took my vehicle. And when I went to the vehicle, I'm feeling like my head is just filled. But that was the first time I was feeling that way. So
filled meaning like you felt like some sense of pressure.
Pressure in my head. It's like a constant pressure in my head.
So you would have felt it to the front, was it to the center?
front, to the back, and it's like everywhere in your head. You feel everything in your head. And I took the vehicle. I can remember I took the vehicle because I mean we were the last persons, my co-worker and myself, and to leave the compound. I took my vehicle, but I can remember leaving the gates, and when I reach on the road, it's like the vehicle like swaying my hands like this and stuff like that. And I had to drop groceries for a customer in Kenfield. So I called and said, you know, but I called him before, and to pick up the groceries actually at Esmat, and he says, but you are living at Chimit, I'm living at Kenfield, so I'm gonna wait for you at Old Mill to pick it up. And I can say, thank God. God knew what was going to happen, and God made preparation for me. And I drove, and when I reached to the road that's going down to Astafans in Kenfield, I could not go any further. So I stopped the vehicle.
Okay, so you stopped the vehicle. So at that point, how were you feeling? I know initially you mentioned that you had the headache. So the pressure in your head was still there.
It was still there.
And how else were you feeling?
I was just feeling sick. I can remember going in my bag and trying to take a pill to drink, because I mean, I know I'm suffering with pressure. And I tried to take a pill to drink. I cannot even remember if I put the pill in my mouth. At that point, I can't remember, because all I can remember, stopping the vehicle because I could not reach to the Old Mill. I stopped the vehicle. And when the person realized that, why isn't she coming out of the vehicle? So he came to the vehicle, and then he saw me in the vehicle, and then I can remember him saying at the time, what's wrong with you? You have COVID? Because at the time, everybody, you know, was so scared of COVID. So I can remember saying, no, I do not have COVID.
So that means you were still responsive.
I was still responsive at that time. And then he realized I drop on the steering wheel, forward on the steering wheel. So he realized that something was wrong with me, and I stopped responding. So he turned around, he took my vehicle, and he took me to the hospital. But by the time when I arrived at the hospital, I was gone.
You were gone alive?
Gone alive.
But still, you were still alive, but you were not responsive.
No, I was not responsive.
So do you remember, okay, you were not responsive for how long? At what point did you realize where you were?
Well, I think I was not responding for about probably 2 to 3 hours. The last thing I remembered when I arrived at the hospital, they put me on a wheelchair, and that was it. I could not say anything for myself. I could not talk. I could not give no information. Nothing.
So at what point were you able to respond?
I think probably about after 3 to 4 hours. Because at that point, when I arrived, I think that's what was said to me, because I really was not responsive or could answer. They gave me a lot of medication. The doctors, they act really quickly. They gave me medication and stuff like that to bring down the pressure. But the pressure was not going down. It was not going down. So at that point, they took me on a wheelchair to the ward. I think it was probably Glover ward, because I really cannot tell you where they put me. All I know, they drove me on a wheelchair to that ward, and I think I can remember because I was coming from work, and I mean I had nothing, so they just put me on a bed, and I can remember the doctors, they were attending to me, and nurses, and they were doing an I think ECG. They were doing ECG and stuff like that for me. And I remember they gave me medication, and I can tell you, I urinate for the entire night. It's as they put one sheet, you urinate. And I can remember one day saying to me, I do not have any more sheets to give you. I do not have any more sheets to give you. And I think I stayed in that urine for the morning.
That is unfortunate, and
yeah,
that is unfortunate. But let's go back to that same time. So you got to the hospital, you were unresponsive for about 3 hours. Thereafter, you started understanding, you were alert to an extent, so you knew what was going on around you. Were you able to listen to the chatter? Did the things that the doctors or the nurses say, were their words concerning to you? Were you scared? What was your emotional state like at that point?
Well, at that point, I could hardly remember anything, even in the morning, and I could not really keep a conversation. But I can remember the nurses. I think one nurse came to check my pressure, and she told me that it's going down a bit. I can remember she said that it's going down a bit, and then I can remember saying to them that they need to try to reach my family, reach somebody to come and check on me. And then my son, with his dad, they came to the hospital to bring stuff and to check on me. And then during the morning, I regained a bit of consciousness, and then I remember saying to them they need to reach to my workplace to let them know that I had gotten a stroke and I am unable to be at work, because I had to work in the morning, and I am unable to be at work for the morning.
Okay, so let's go back to your son and his father at the hospital with you. What were their reactions like?
Well, they were like feeling really sorry, and that I had gotten the stroke, and they had to make preparation to take care of me, get whatever medication that was not available at the hospital. They got a prescription to go and get that medication for me. They actually, and then they brought my telephone so people could reach me. But even after I got the telephone, I could not respond on a telephone or to make a telephone call. And I can remember, because you have a son and your son really can't do much, that whatever. But my sister, she's a nurse, she's working in the States right now. And thank God for technology. I mean, she could call on WhatsApp and she could show him the different things that he needs to pick up to bring to the hospital for me, for my care. And my son dad also helped in ensuring that, food and whatever was needed was provided. And my brother, lives in the country, very close to me. My family, they are very, very close to me. I love my family, I must say, and thank God for that. Yeah. So my brother came down from the country to take care of me, to ensure that my son was okay, and that he cooked the food, and you know, they took care of me. So I had family support, and my co-workers, my general manager, and everybody, they reach out. Although at the point when they were trying to call me, they really could not get me because I could not respond to telephone and stuff like that. But I remember that I have to say kudos to the staff at the hospital on that ward, although I was not 100% conscious. But many times, persons may say, well, I go to the hospital and they did not take care of me. And I know it was very hectic at that time because, like I said, it was COVID and stuff like that. But in truth and in fact, I must say that they did their best with whatever they had. They did their best. What they did not have, like I said, I made my son and my son dad made arrangement to get my medication and stuff like that. And at that point, I could not really eat. Because, you can't really take care of yourself at that time. But I remember one ward aide came and tried to feed me and stuff like that. And they told me that, Rosemary, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And stuff like that. And I can remember, though, one thing I vividly remembered is, I think on the second day, in the evening, I tried to go to the washroom, and I'm on a ward and I get lost. Because I do not know where to go. Oh, wow. I do not know where to turn, and I'm calling the nurse, and at that point, I do not know which ward I am in. All I know is I'm at the hospital, and then I started calling, and then the nurse came to get me to bring me back to the bed. And I can remember the doctors came to visit, they came to check, and after they did my test, my ECG, and they checked, and stuff like that. It was around about 4 days after. I remember the doctor, and every day they would do tests, they would monitor the pressure, monitor everything, and stuff like that. And they spoke to me and they told me I suffered a stroke, and I was lucky, and thank God I arrived on time.
There's that 2-2, that actually 4-hour window. It is known that if persons get into the hospital within 4 hours of starting the symptoms of the stroke, then they can get full recovery. It's possible. Yes. That's why timing is important. Timing. It's important to have people that be around people, have friends, people that can reach out to you and support you. They don't hear you, hey, what's going on? If they don't see you, they can come and look for you. So if something is wrong, they can get you the care or the help that you need.
I think
so timing worked for you impeccable.
Yes, timing works for me. And even within that time, I would say probably about an hour. And I arrived at the hospital, the doctor said I came in just on time. And that was just within an hour. So that is why, in truth and in fact, if you suffer a stroke and you are probably like 2 hours away from Roseau, it's like you are too far. I would say that. Because it happens so quickly. So quickly. And I can say to you that from my experience, you do not have time to call anybody, because it's like your mind is gone. You do not have time.
So you're saying that if, God forbid, let's say I am experiencing a stroke currently, I will not be able to pick up a phone and call for help?
I don't think so, because it happens very quick. It says about a window 2 to 3 hours, but I do not believe that it is 2 to 3 hours, because from the time I felt that pain and my head from S-Mart Springfield Trading to Kenfield, I would normally probably take around 6 minutes, you drive in to reach to Kenfield. And I'm saying to you, I could not go any further. I could not go further. And if that person wasn't around to take me to the hospital, or it's like God says to me, Rosemary, okay, the person say, you passing my way. Drop that box for me. what would have happened to me? Because maybe vehicles would be passing, yes, up and down the sea, and might, you know, let us believe somebody stopped in the vehicle. Nobody's going to stop to really check, you know, your vehicle.
Sure.
And I'm driving a black vehicle. So nobody's going to check. And I can't respond. I cannot call for help. Because at that point, I could not call. I could not shout. I could not do anything. So this is why, for me, my message to everybody would be, it is not a joke. If you have high blood pressure, you have to take it serious.
Indeed. And before we go into that detail, I just want to thank all those who have commented. I will read the comments. We do want to engage with all of you who are following us live on Ember News. And of course, thank you very much for joining us. And if you do have questions for Rosemary, we will entertain. She's more than happy to respond to the messages. So, Rosemary, Lisa said that she didn't know that you had a stroke. She saw you the week before. Somebody is saying, I really saying to myself, I'm not hearing you on Thursdays on maths. Get well, teacher cadet. Another, I would mention, it's really an excellent initiative to highlight the symptoms, causation, effects, and road to recovery from a stroke, and the increased incidence of nationally and globally must not be ignored. GV, hi, she's saying that praise God you made it through this and you're here with us. We still love you, Rosemary. We're saying praise God. Somebody asked about the ECG and the EKG.
Well, yes, they did all this for me, and the ECGs and the EKGs and stuff like that. And when they did all these tests, I think they were able to give me medication. But I will talk about the after effects of the stroke.
We will get to that. We will get to that.
So,
and then Dial is saying God's love. And somebody else, Neva, is saying is not would say, it's a fact. Timing is very important. And that is what we want to stress, because I mentioned in the start, it's important to be fast. And that is the acronym for the different signs and symptoms, so you can be alert. And the T of be fast is timing, because timing is critical. You have to know what time the stroke started. At least somebody around you have to know what time it started. And as soon as it happens, you need to get to the hospital so you can get that care so your life can be saved. Continuing quickly, she's right. I suffered a mini stroke back in 2019, right before the pandemic, and was not able to talk. Ruth, I'm very thankful that you're still alive. Somebody else is saying, again, I keep stressing the importance of medical alert bracket or bracelet for people with medical conditions. And that is critical. I believe it is happening in the other countries, and it's working. So if you have something on your arm indicating, or somewhere on your person, be it a necklace or your key ring indicating that, you know, you have this or that condition, at least when you get to the hospital, somebody meet you, they can take that quick step to get to the assistance that you need. Somebody else responded, it depends on the person and the type of stroke. My dad was able to call my mom at work when he got his stroke at home. So that's great. I never knew you had a stroke. Get well. I miss you on the radio. That's from Bridget. And Shani said, yep, I was able to walk over to my brother and tell him my head wasn't feeling right. So it starts with the headache.
it starts with a headache.
It starts with...
It starts with a headache. It starts with a headache. And I can say to people that that headache is a terrible headache. And if you know you have high blood pressure and you feel a headache, you feel at home, and let me advise everybody. I know everybody buy their cell phone, that's like priority number one. You want to have a fancy this, you want to have a fancy that, a headphone. Let me tell you, the fanciest thing you need at your home, you need to have a pressure monitor.
Yes.
If somebody asks you, what do you want for your birthday? The first thing you should respond. If you do not have a pressure monitor at your home, say to that person, I need a pressure monitor.
For something to measure your sugar.
And yes, and your sugar also. Because with a pressure monitor, I mean, you can monitor your pressure. By monitoring your pressure, you know that the normal blood pressure is 120/80 or lower. So if you realize, you know, systolic is about 150, 160, and your diastolic is over 100 going, definitely, you know, you are already in trouble. So you know you need to take your medication, you need to go and lie down, or you need to visit your doctor instantly, promptly. You need to get medical attention.
That is true. So let's go back to you at the hospital. We're telling a story. For those of you who have just joined us, we're here with Rosemary Thomas. Back in 2020, she suffered a stroke. And we at the Reasta Foundation, it's our mission to educate the public on stroke. We are running a 6-month PR campaign. And our hope is at the end of the campaign, persons like you, myself, all of us will know everything we need to know so we can prevent a stroke for ourselves. And if somebody does experience a stroke, we know the signs and the symptoms, and we can help that person to receive medical care. So this is why we're here. So Rosemary would have mentioned her story from when it all started, and she ended so far when she was at the hospital and she was seemingly responsive. So how long did you remain at the hospital?
I stayed at the hospital 4 days. And the doctor said because we are into the pandemic that they have to discharge us. I think there was another lady on my side who also suffered a stroke. And they sent, well, the other lady died. Thank God I survived. But she did not make it. But she was very close to me. And
were you scared when you learned that she died from the stroke?
Well, she died after she went home. And that is something that I also want to talk about because many persons died. They made it through the hospital, and when they go home, they died after.
Aftercare rehabilitation is crucial.
Yes, yes it is.
And if you do not receive that aftercare, it becomes difficult for you to move forward.
Yes, it is. It is. So when a person is out of the hospital, if you suffered a stroke, you are not out of the woods. Because many persons made it home and they did not make it, they did not remain alive.
Okay, so you're back at the ward.
Yes.
And then you stayed there for about 4 days?
4 days.
And after that you went home?
Yes, I went home.
What happened? What was life like at home?
Well, to be honest with you, before I talk about being at home, when they put me out of the hospital, I really did not know where I was. Because all I could remember at that point is my past. My past life. I could not remember nothing in the present. So when
you did not know who you are, where you work, what do you do?
No. And where I worked presently, I did not know that's where I was working.
Wow.
I was a preschool teacher. That was my first job. I taught preschool for 9.5 years. So that was my first work was like preschool teacher for 9.5 years. And I taught at that time at the Christian Union preschool. So when a person was dropping me out of the hospital, I'm saying to the person, but where are you going with me? That's not where I'm going. I'm going to show any person is good where I'm going. And I'm saying, because that's where I'm going. So the person's, I can remember tears coming from the person's eyes. But the person said, no, Rosemary, that's not where you are working. I said, no, but that's where I'm working. All I could remember is my past. And imagine my first place of employment. So that would be like 20-something years ago. But that's all I can remember. I can't remember.
You had memory loss.
Memory loss. I cannot remember nothing about I'm employed and working Springfield Trading. Nothing like that. Nothing. I could not remember that. I could not remember that. That's why I want to say to persons, when you hear about pressure, take it serious. It is not a joke. Ensure that you take your medication. What happened to me, I would not want anybody to suffer that. I lost my memory. And I can remember my sister calling, and she's calling the nurses at the hospital, and she's saying to them, because she wants to know about me. And when the nurses came to check me, this telephone number I'm giving them is telephone number over 20 years ago. I can't tell them my telephone number. The only memory I have is the past, nothing in the present. Could not remember anything. Present. So it was really hard. But moving to that, so on my way to my home, it's like it is just strange. It was like strange and stuff like that. But when I got home, like I said, I got care that my brother was there to assist and my son. But when I got home, all I was complaining with was my head, my head, my head. I can say to you and to everybody that's listening on Facebook, I think I was overdosing myself every day on paracetamol.
So every time you had a headache?
I'm drinking paracetamol because the headache was so severe.
So you're telling us that prior to that day, March 2020, when you suffered the stroke, prior to that, days before you were having headaches?
No, after.
Days after that, you had.
That is when the doctor released me from the hospital, when they discharged me, when I was discharged from the hospital to go to my home. That's why I'm saying that after care.
It brings me to two questions though. Did your pressure drop or was it maintained after you left the hospital? And did they tell you what type of stroke that you had?
I think the doctor, they said I got a ischemic, they call it? Something like that. Some kind of stroke like that, yeah. Yes.
As somebody is asking, was it a left or right hemisphere stroke? It also makes a difference. Also, what does rehab look like in Dominica? I'm asking all of this to better serve my stroke survivors, as I'm a stroke support group facilitator to Caribbean stroke survivors and the caregivers, Dominica included. So she did mention that. Was it on the left side?
Right I think
side?
It was the left side because the constant headache was on the left, and everything like all the pressure and everything was in my head, and my head, the pain I had in my head, it's like I could not do without paracetamol. I had to
you just needed it to stop.
To stop. And then I could not get to do a head scan because I could not get a head scan done. And
because of the pandemic?
Because of the pandemic, but the machine wasn't working. The machine wasn't working. And that was at the point when I got scared. I got scared at that point. One place in Dominica, I can get a head scan done, and when the machine isn't working, and what do I do? Because I know, if you have all that pain in your head, you are not out of the woods. So I was kind of scared at that point. And I can remember sending, somebody went to Roseau to get what is called nutmeg oil. And then said to me, you need to just get this nutmeg oil to rub your head. So my son was the one here, and my son would be rubbing my head with the nutmeg oil, rubbing my head with nutmeg oil. And then...
Did you get relief?
I got some relief, but it took a long time before I got relief. I think I finished the entire bottle rubbing because I was really scared at that point.
Well, let's talk aftercare though, and in more detail, more depth.
Yeah.
When you left the hospital, did they give you a pamphlet with instructions on what you should do to care for yourself at home?
No, nothing was given to me.
So you had no instruction on how to take care of yourself
Nothing.
after leaving the hospital?
Nothing, no instructions, nothing. The only thing I had was the list of medication, my prescription, and stuff like that, and everything. All the medication I had to send to buy it, but thank God at least it was available in Dominica, the medication. And then I am employed, so I could purchase my medication. So I really did not have a problem to purchase my medication. The only thing I thank God for is that they were available. But I could not get the treatment needed, like to get a head scan done. No, I could not do that.
I'm asking questions because I'm genuinely concerned, but I know for a fact that it was a pandemic, everybody was scared. So I understand too that the nurses, the doctors, they have families, they were afraid of, contracting a virus, passing it on. They too were afraid to die.
Well, yes, everybody was afraid.
So every contact number at least, because you were not given any literature to go home for support, aftercare support. Were you given a contact number for a nurse or for a doctor, somebody you could reach out to for support?
Nothing was given to me. All they told me they would, I can remember they saying they have to discharge me because of the pandemic. Because of the pandemic. But when they discharged me, I was very sick. When they discharged me.
So you left the hospital, you had headaches, you had pain, you had memory loss.
Everything.
And all the other symptoms. What about your speech? Was it slurred? Was it still strange?
Yes, it was slurred.
Because guys, these are all the signs and symptoms of a stroke. That's why I go back to be fast, be balanced. And these are the things that you have to check in the event of somebody experiencing a stroke or yourself. Be fast, be balanced. Has a person suddenly lost balance? E, eyes. Has a person lost vision in one or both eyes? F, face. Is the face drooping on one side? A, arms. Is the arm weak? Is it numb? S, speech. Is the speech slurred or strange? And time, T, what time did it happen? You know, it's time to respond and to react, because timing is crucial, it's critical when somebody gets a stroke. And it's truly unfortunate that you were not able to get the support that you needed. And I know that from our end, the Riasta Foundation, there's a lot that the foundation is doing and will do. I mean, we're starting with the advocacy campaign because we believe that knowledge is power. And stories, they transcend. So we want to share person's stories. We interact with experts in the field. So you hear from doctors, we pull in doctors and nurses, nutritionists, psychologists, you know, pharmacists. We're going to pull in all different resources on every platform that we can touch. We even want to do some community meetings. So we're bringing some doctors, some experts in the community. You bring a medication, you can ask a question, we have a panel discussion. So we want, from the foundation standpoint, we want to ensure that through advocacy, our first step, that we can help save your life, my life, everybody else's life. And if somebody is experiencing a stroke, then that person can get the support that they need. And it's not just advocacy, there's 7 pillars, you know, there are different things that the foundation is doing. There's training for the staff, thinking about doing, well, the intention, plan, of course, is to have a facility at the hospital just dedicated for stroke patients. Because I've learned recently that we get 2 to 3, and this is based on the hospital statistics, at least 2 to 3 persons experience a stroke in Dominica daily. And that is too much. It is way too much for 2 or 3 persons in our less than 64,000 population to experience a stroke. So there are things that we can do, we should be doing to ensure that we do not experience a stroke. And prime example, I'm going to use it as an example, but I'm happy that you recovered and I'm thankful to God for that, right? So let's say if hypertension is one of the main reasons why persons experience a stroke. And we find a lot of persons, they do not take their medications. So the doctors are stressed out, the pharmacists, I remember speaking to a pharmacist the other day, and he was explaining that he was trying to encourage a person in different ways that he needs to take his pressure medication. And the man checking, and nothing is going to happen to me. I'm taking my bush. I'll drink my bush and nothing's going to happen to me. But, you know, what's the measurement? How do you take it? Do you have to crush it? Do you have to blend it? Do you have to grind it? Do you know the quantity, the dosage of the bush that you're taking? You don't know. But the fact is, there's evidence to show that if you take a medication and you take what is prescribed on time, every time, it decreases the likelihood of you getting a stroke. So, if my friend here, and I'm still thankful that you're alive, despite everything that happened, but if persons take their medication on time, you know, these things can be prevented because it happens quickly. It happens fast. And you don't know in the blink of an eye. And as she mentioned that she didn't know what she was, she didn't know what was going on. She just started with a headache.
Yes.
And it just grew from that. And then she lost consciousness. And if it wasn't for that good, it was God. And I believe in God and the act of God. Yes. God places persons within our paths to support us. And it has to be God because you're here right now to tell your story.
It is only God.
You're here right now to share your story.
God.
Yes.
I am alive because of God.
Amen. And if it wasn't for that person that you would have interacted with that night, you brought the groceries to that night, things may have turned out differently.
Oh, definitely.
But let's go back. We're backtracking. You are home. You have no support from the hospital's team. What were you doing apart from the oil, the nutmeg oil that you finished an entire bottle on your head, and you were popping paracetamol to subdue the headache? What else did you do personally? Because sometimes I mean, everything is not a one size fit all, and that's a fact. So things that she could have done or she did while she was suffering, it may work for some persons, it may not. But the story is important to get. True? Yes. So you had no support. What did you do?
Okay, well, once I regained consciousness to that point, because I'm a person, I always keep fit. And I know many persons in Dominica, probably most of the time they're going to work, would see me walking. And when I'm walking, I'm just walking. I'm walking in speed. You will see my hands and everything swinging. So it's like, I mean, I'm used to exercising and keeping fit. So once I was conscious enough, I know I could not go on the road, but at least I could go on my veranda, on my porch. And I began doing little stretch, little this, little that. And moving my feet, and then stuff like that.
So exercise helped?
Exercise helped.
Good.
Exercise helped. I began holding my railings and then trying to go down until I could do it better. And when after probably about 6 weeks, I was feeling better. I began walking in the surrounding, not on the road, but in my surrounding, from one street to another street and stuff like that. And then I would go, gradually. But like I said, while I was walking, it wasn't easy because I actually suffered chest pain. I suffered with chest pain, and at one point it's like the feeling, my heart would be pumping. It's like my chest,
Hold on. Let's backtrack.
Yeah.
The physical therapy you did at home, you did the exercise.
Yes.
Even as you're exercising, you're experiencing chest pain.
Yes.
Did you try to make contact with the hospital? I understand that we were in the heat of the pandemic. I know your family member was a nurse.
Yes.
Did you reach out to your sister? Was she able to give you the tips? Was she able to provide some literature that enabled you to take action? What was it that triggered you or pushed you into the direction for recovery?
My sister said you have to go to the hospital at once. Once I told her about
your chest pain.
About my chest pain. So I can remember going to the health center, like I said, because in Fokole, and I went to the health center. And I remember, and I must say, hats off and kudos to the nurses and doctors at the Fokole Health Center. I must say they did their best to assist me during my stroke, when the time I suffered that stroke. When I went, and I can remember I saw a doctor, and she's checked me out and stuff, and she said, you know what? I need to send you you need to go back to get an ECG done. No. So I can remember calling somebody to drive me to the hospital. She said, you just can't just go now to get the ECG done. And when I reached at the hospital, and they assisted me real quick also to get the ECG done. When I get the ECG done, she said, as soon as you come back to the health center, you have to see me one time. So when I came back with the results, she said you have to go to get a blood test done one time. And then when I got to the results, I cannot remember the name of the test, but when I got back the result, she said it wasn't good. The result wasn't good. And then I had to try now to make contact to see the specialist, Dr. Rachel.
The cardiologist.
Rachel Andrew, and stuff like that. And actually, she's one of my preschoolers, Dr. Drew. Yes, she's one of my preschoolers. So she gave me an appointment to see her and stuff like that, and check me out. And so because of that kind of chest pain I was having, it's like, I don't know, it's like chest pain to kill. Chest pain is like, and stuff like that. And she checked me and stuff, and I think she did some other tests for me and gave me some medications and stuff like that. And then
you felt better after the treatment?
After the treatment. Yes.
So the chest pain disappeared?
It
subsided?
It subsided.
And what about your headaches?
Well, the headache after 6 to 7 weeks, I got the head scan done, And
you got it done in Dominica?
In Dominica, yes. Yes, and it was okay. Yeah.
So prior to the head scan, were you, like days leading up to the head scan, were you still experiencing a headache?
Yes, I still with that headache for over 6 weeks with that headache.
And was something in particular what was prescribed for you for your headache?
Well, I cannot really remember what was prescribed for my headache, but the most important thing for me at that point is that I really did not suffer that kind of damage in my head.
Okay, well that's good.
Yes.
So somebody mentioned about drinking a lot of water, which is what is important to flush out the toxins, you know, to keep us rehydrated. What was your water intake like during that period? Were you drinking a lot of water?
Yes.
Were you taking cold showers? Because I know when I'm feeling really, really hot and I cannot take it, I take a cold shower. And
Yes,
it really
yes.
brings down my temperature. So was the cold showers, was that working for you? Was the water, cold water?
Well, at that point, when I suffered this stroke and I got home, I really, at that point, could not even tell you what was working for me. Because I can say to you that when I get home, I was like in a trance, and it's like I was, most of the time I have that pain, and I would just like take this paracetamol and I would just sleep. You know, it's like, you know, I was just like sleeping, and when I wake up and stuff, my son would give me my meals, and my son would take my blood pressure. And I can remember they told me to record, and I had to record keep a record. So every day we take the blood pressure and, you know, and stuff like that, and your pulse and everything to record it and stuff like that. But I cannot remember taking if the cold shower would help, if it would not help, because it's like, you know, it's like you're just not normal when you get a stroke. You just you know, you can't function the way that you used to before you get the stroke. And like I said, you forget everything. You cannot remember anything. I could not remember a password for my laptop. Nothing. I just could not remember nothing. You know, so it's like, and when I even go in my kitchen and my son or my brother is cooking, what I'm telling them doesn't make sense. I'm telling them all sorts of things.
So you're saying that even after the initial symptoms and treatment from the doctor, you still had all these, your speech was still slurred?
Yes, it was
you
still.
You had the memory loss. What about your arm? Was it numb? Was it weak?
My arm was weak, but not to the extent like you see some people get weak and they're walking on a side and they can't move and stuff like that. But
and your balance, what about your balance?
Yeah, my balance was not 100% either, you know, and stuff like that. Because like, I mean, you will not be like balanced 100% if you get a stroke. But I was able to move. I was able to move and stuff like that.
Okay, just reading the message. Deborah mentioned dehydration can be a cause of experiencing a headache, but not to that extent. Drinking a lot of water can also lead to electrolytes imbalance. That's good information for me because I try to drown myself every day, thinking that I'm flushing out toxins.
Well, as she spoke about dehydration, Monel, I remember the doctor wrote, when I read my notes, I can remember the doctor writing about dehydration also.
So dehydration was also an issue with you?
Yeah, it looks so.
Okay, so drinking at least the required amount of water, I think.
Yes.
8 glasses of water a day should be sufficient, at least. You spoke about your son and somebody else preparing a meal for you. Your diet would have changed because based on my research, I understand that there are particular things that persons who would have experienced a stroke should not be consuming. What changed for you in your diet?
Well, my diet changed really, the right diet, because when I gained consciousness and I was fully aware of where I was and what I had gone through, and I changed my diet completely. For persons who know me would realize that I lost a lot of weight. So I excluded like dairy products. So I eat no dairy products from the time I got the stroke and stuff like that. I had to eliminate that from my diet. I have never been a lover of bread, and you know, people don't realize, but bread have a lot of salt. So I do not, but I've never been a person eating bread. So that wasn't a problem for me. I normally eat like a few biscuits or something like that, but no bread and things like that. I drink more water and I eat a lot of vegetables.
I know you mentioned that you did not get any literature after leaving the hospital, but your dietary change, is that based on your research, or did the visit with Dr. Andrew or the follow-up at the hospital, did they then provide you with guidance on meal plan?
Well, it's my research.
Your research.
It's my research. Well, yes, it's all on my own. I do my research, and I decided to change my diet if I want to remain healthy, and if I want to keep my blood pressure under control. And then I know that you can also suffer a stroke from high cholesterol.
Yes.
So I did all this research. So that's why, for the high cholesterol in particular, that's the reason why I eliminated all dairy products from.
And what about your seafood? Do you?
I do not eat seafood. I know about seafood. I know it's very high in cholesterol.
Yes.
So I do not eat seafood and stuff like that. I do not eat meat. I might eat a little bit of chicken, but I have to take out all the skin and all the fats. I have to cut everything, cut it small pieces, because you know chicken, especially like the thighs and stuff, all in between it have a lot of fat. So when you think,
so you have to cut and shred and dice and look for it?
To take it out. Yeah, because
that work.
It's working for me.
But it's working. It's a lot of work, but it's working.
It's working. It's working.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, so I eat a lot of vegetables. I mean, I work in a supermarket, so it's available to purchase, you know, and you know, where I work, I think we sell the largest selection of produce. So fruits and vegetable isn't a problem to get because you can get it purchased.
Okay, let's talk about physiotherapy. So you would have sorted your nutrition. And
yes.
I am happy that you did your research.
Yes.
Despite the circumstance, as unfortunate as it was because things would have improved since then.
Yeah.
And with the foundation support, things will be better. So therapy, what did you do? I mean, I know you mentioned exercise. Were you able to see a therapist, a physiotherapist? Did you get support? Anything?
No, I did everything on my own. Everything on my own, and all my walk-ins and everything was on my own. Everything was on my own because I knew that I had to try to help myself. And let me just say that my mother also suffered a stroke when she was in her early 60s.
Oh.
And I was the person who took care of my mom.
Oh, so you knew?
Yes, I knew. I knew a lot about getting a stroke. It's just that I never thought I would have gotten one. I mean, she got it in the 60s and I got mine in my 50s. And I never thought I would have gotten a stroke, you know. I mean, I know it's possible, but at that point, you know, I'm so active, you know, and everything, you know, I never...
But maybe that is an issue too, because a lot of us, I'll throw myself in the mix, we get so caught up with life and with work and moving from one task to the next. We don't take time for ourselves.
Well, that is it.
So it's important to listen to your body. So if your body is telling you, hey, I have a headache, my headache is, it's too much, you know, I'm feeling a sensation I never used to feel before, it's important that we pause and we look after ourselves. Because the job we do now, like, I love my job, FYI, but if I die, when I die, they'll replace me.
Oh, yes, for sure.
So, and that's the same thing with all of us. When God is ready for us, they will replace us wherever it is that we work. So it's important that we take care of ourselves. The work will stay, but at some point we will leave.
Of course.
So we have to listen to our body, be in tune with yourself. If you don't feel okay, accept that, hey, today I don't feel okay, I need help. And it's okay to seek help. You're never too big or too small. And some person, they don't feel comfortable asking for help. They feel that it makes them less of a person. If you're not well, ask for help. And if the person around you cannot assist you, find somebody else. There's always somebody that can assist you. Okay? So we're talking about you and your story. Let's continue with that. So happened in March of 2020. You were unresponsive for about 3 hours. You were at the hospital. You left the hospital after 4 days. You went home. You were still experiencing a headache. You still had chest pains. You were still able to, with the support of your family, change your diet. There were people preparing meals for you. You were able to do your own therapy and all these different things. So that is wonderful. We thank Dr. Rachel for being there to support you.
Oh, yes.
And you did the different scans, like the head scan, which was good. And the doctor mentioned that the head scan was good. And after about 6 weeks, if my memory serves me right, the symptoms or the severity of your headache, it subsided.
And yes, it subsided.
But at what point did everything stop? Or I should ask, is it over?
I would say it's over. The only thing is, sometimes in my pronunciation, I still, my speech is not like how it used to be in pronouncing certain words and stuff like that, and I still forget. Most times you might just talk to me now, and then after, I say what, and like you do not remember, you can't even recap, but she just spoke to me a while ago, and you have already forgotten.
Do you keep a little diary to help you remember?
Sometimes.
And somebody mentioned about seeing a neurologist. You ever thought of seeing a neurologist?
No.
You don't think you need one at the moment?
I think I should see one, yes. Yes, I think I should see one.
Okay, it's almost time for us to wrap up. It's supposed to be 1 hour conversation with you, but I know there's a lot to talk about because this is information that we need. I'm saying me, myself included.
Yes,
this information that we need, and I believe in the power of telling stories because your story can help someone, it can save their life. So I'm happy that you were able to tell your story today with us. So advice, persons out there who are listening, what advice do you have for them?
My advice to everyone that's listening is to say to you that high blood pressure is not something that you should take for granted. Some persons say they have high blood pressure, or they have been diagnosed, or the doctor says to you that you have high blood pressure. That is very serious. When you hear about high blood pressure, take it seriously, because you have to think of it's a silent killer. And when you hear about a silent killer, it's a silent killer because it can kill you instantly. And thank God sometimes you have to make it to the hospital and you are safe. And some of us get a chance, but some of us may not get another chance. So I can say to you, when doctor prescribe medication for you, you need to purchase your medication. Most times you will not get some of this medication in your health center. I can say that to you. Because when I got my stroke, I was on 5 different medications to bring down my blood pressure. It's not one medication bringing it down. I was on 5 different medications to bring down my high blood pressure. And you need to get this medication. So let me say to families, you have somebody at your home, probably your mom, your dad, your child, your cousin or something, and they have been diagnosed with high blood pressure. And I know what it is. Sometimes you may not be living close to, to a pharmacy, or you probably live in somewhere in the country, you are not able to get this medication. And I know things are rough, things are hard, and persons are unemployed, people are not working. And sometimes they do not have the money to purchase their medication. You are a family member, please assist in whatever way possible that you can, assist that person. And even if you are not a family member, we are our brother's keeper. And somebody walked up to you and they say, I have to purchase, my pressure medication. And I do not have the money to purchase the medication. If you do not want to trust the person to give them that money, take the prescription and get it for them and give it to them, because you are saving a life. And let me also say to you that if you have that money and you did not assist that person to purchase the medication, and that person happened to suffer a stroke, I'm sometimes wondering how would you feel to know that you were able to assist and you did not assist. Because I can say to you that high blood pressure, it is very, very, very serious. And also my cousin is at the hospital. She suffered a stroke and she's at the ICU. So please, whatever you can do to assist an individual to get better when it comes for high blood pressure, let us be one another's keeper. Let us encourage our brothers and sisters. Let us encourage everybody to take their medication. I can say to you that I am also guilty of not taking my medication when I got my stroke. So this is why today I can sit here and I can give you the advice, because sometimes you say, oh, I take that yesterday, I take that
or
today.
the symptoms, they don't want to be urinating so
you know, well, I know about the urinating, trust me, it's very troublesome. You do not want to be urinating, but if you know you're going to Roseau and you figure, okay, boy, you will. I said to persons, look, most times when I reach in Roseau, I go to the washroom by that place there, right? Promenade. As soon as I reach Roseau, and then I go there, I pay $1 and I go on, but at least I have taken my medication. So take your medication. I know most times you want to take a little booze, you figure, boy, whatever. Well, you can have a drink, but please do not, what you do not have to do is to stop the medication and go and have the drink. Continue taking your medication. And if you want, like me, I was on 5 and now I am on 2. I'm no longer taking 5 different medications for my blood pressure. And at present, I must say thank you, God. My blood pressure is under control. It's normal, but I keep on taking my medication. I'm not just going to say, oh, because my blood pressure is normal and I'm not taking any medication. Because it can be normal now when something triggers you, somebody gets you angry.
Yes. You heard that your house is on fire.
Your house is on fire and you just never know. And instantly, it's up. You know, and another thing you have to do, you know you have high blood pressure, just try to take life easy. Go one day at a time. Change your attitude towards life. You know you are that kind of person, and then you know you can get vexed, and you know when you have high blood pressure you can't get vexed. You know sometimes people know you have high blood pressure, you know, but they will trigger you. They will say things to you to get you angry, but you try to leave it under control. What you cannot control, God can control for you. Amen. So do not get vexed. Just let people talk and let them say what they have to say. At the end of the day, you humble yourself. It is better to be humble and being fought as a fool than you get yourself angry and hope you die. And the person is still alive while you are gone. So you learn to control yourself, and like I said, ensure that you take your medication. If you do not have all the medication, even if it's 2 that you take, but at least you know that you have your medication with you. Everywhere you are going, keep your medication in your bag. You know you are going to work, have it in your bag. You are going to Roseau, have it in your bag. Always keep your medication on point.
Thank you for sharing that, Rosemary. And guys, that is excellent advice from someone who has had the experience of suffering stroke, who is currently still experiencing some symptoms. So you had it, you've gotten information firsthand. I want you to reach out to the Riasta Foundation, because the foundation plans on doing a lot. I would have mentioned before, our 6-month PR campaign. We are talking with survivors. We're going to pull in experts. On Monday, we have a panel discussion. It's going to be a simulcast on DBS Carrier FM. We want to log in at Vibes Radio, MO News. Everybody will be talking about medications and stroke, because a lot of people are not taking their medications on time. So I have an expert, a cardiologist. I also have a pharmacist who will be speaking one-on-one, having the information. You can call in live. So there's a lot that will be done with the foundation for the next 6 months, or from this month onwards. If you want to reach out to the foundation, numbers 448-0571, 277-6233, 275-6780. Now, if you have suffered a stroke, we would love to hear your story. Stories, like I mentioned, stories are important. Stories help people, they connect. So stories are the best way to get people to take action. So we want to hear your story. We want to share your story with other persons. So please reach out to us so we can do that. If you want to support the foundation in any way, shape, or form, we welcome your support. be it financial or otherwise, you want to help facilitate a discussion, you want to be part of a discussion, please reach out. We want you, because we cannot do it alone. It takes a team, it takes us to help us. You understand? So we can do this together. And I also want to mention, I want to give you a squeezy ball shortly, because that is something that is in my bag as we speak. So that is something that the foundation has. We have the squeezy ball, and you know, sometimes there's this cup, right? You know, sometimes when persons experience a stroke, I'm not sure if it happened with you, but sometimes they cannot keep their hands steady.
Yes.
And the cups always drop. So we have a sippy cup, and every time the cup will drop, it'll bounce back. So it falls back on its surface, so that's awesome. And then we also have the forks and the spoons with the gripping handle, so persons can better pick up their food and eat their food. And we also have the straws. So we have procured a few different items that we are selling for persons who would have suffered or are in need of that support. And if you just want to purchase it just to support the foundation, the money doesn't go towards helping us or helping ourselves, the money goes towards helping people. So even if it's a shirt that you buy or a cap or any merch that you purchase, it goes towards supporting, helping a life. Like I mentioned, there are different things that the foundation is doing, will continue doing, plans of, you know, training the nurses and the persons in the healthcare so they can better be able to support persons like Rosemary, because we understand what is going on. And if we have the facts, it's important that we take action. So the foundation is taking action. So I want to commend Cecilia Saint-Hilaire, Miss Asta Fan, and all these wonderful persons in the foundation who was championing the cause for Raymond, who passed away, and wonderful things will be happening for a lot of persons. So if anybody out there has any questions for Rosemary, let me just follow through with the chat. I know I've been speaking for a little while. If you have any questions for Rosemary, please send in your questions so we can ask her the question before we wrap up, because I really want this interaction with you, because you know, it takes us. If there's something that you need to know to help yourself, I want to ensure that you get that connection. Somebody mentioned, call me for your... Okay, I'll reach out to you after Neva. Someone mentioned food, exercise, and distressing are all important for a healthy lifestyle, and you would have mentioned that earlier.
Yes.
So that too is important. Alright, so I'm not seeing any questions, so at this point I will wrap things up, and I'll wrap it with the way I started. So, a stroke is a medical emergency. It happens quickly, and every second counts. So it's important that we be fast, be balanced. Has the person suddenly lost balance? E, eyes. Has the person lost vision in one or both eyes? F, face. Is one side of the face drooping? A, arms. Is that one arm numb or weak? S, speech. Is the person's speech slow or slurred? And T, time. What time did the symptoms happen? It's important that you record and react and respond in a timely manner, because time saves lives. So there's about a 4-hour window that you need to get to the hospital and ensure that you get that preventative care. And it's unfortunate with a situation that, you know, it's a pandemic, so things were difficult or hectic during the pandemic, but things, I know based on my information, that things would have improved since then. And as a foundation, we're working for things to happen even better. So I'm saying thank you very much. I'm saying thank you to you, Rosemary, for sharing your story. I know sometimes it can be uncomfortable for the world to know our ailments, but it's important to share, especially with something like this that can, you know, help somebody else. So I thank you very much on behalf of all of us, the foundation, for coming and sharing your story with us.
And thank you so much, Monel, for giving me the opportunity to share my story with the world.
You are most welcome. And I'm thankful to all of you for tuning in this afternoon. I know it's a Friday, it's a busy Friday, it's a Independence Friday, there's a lot going on. So I thank you very much for taking time from your Friday, your evening, for having a discussion with us, for listening to us here. I do hope that you remain blessed, and information here will help you to prevent a stroke. Again, my name is Monel Alexis. I represent the Ray Asta Foundation. It has been my pleasure. Do have a wonderful evening. Thank you.